Palace of Westminster awaited the arrival of Her Majesty the Queen. From this historic place, centre of the British Commonwealth of free peoples, has gone forth the pattern of parliaments, the Westminster model. In the chamber of the House of Lords were assembled the peers of the realm, their wives, and the ladies who are life peeresses. Facing them was the throne, soon to be occupied by the Queen. For this was the occasion of the state opening of Parliament. Through the royal gallery in stately procession came the gentlemen-at-arms. The Lord Great Chamberlain, the Marquess of Cholmondeley, received the Imperial Crown and proceeded to place it upon the table to await Her Majesty's entrance. That great servant of Queen and country in war and peace, Viscount Slim, received the sword of state. The cap of maintenance was to be borne by Lord Mills. Though we were privileged to film the state opening of Parliament 2 years ago, this is the first time it has been filmed in colour. Now, through the Royal Gallery came the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester and the Duchess of Kent, proceeding to their places in the House of Lords. In a few moments, Her Majesty would arrive at the Palace of Westminster, awaited by the Earl Marshal, the Duke of Norfolk, and the Lord Great Chamberlain. Escorted by the household cavalry, the Queen and Duke rode in the Irish coach from Buckingham Palace. This is the established pattern of the royal arrival on this state occasion. Centuries have passed since the monarch rode to Westminster to give instructions to his legislators. In the constitutional monarchy of today, the sovereign takes no part in framing the legislative program. But the opening of Parliament retains the grandeur that has invested it for centuries. Anomalously, by withdrawing from all controversial affairs of government, the monarchy has strengthened its hold upon the affections of the people. Now time for the Lord Great Chamberlain to convey the Imperial Crown to the royal robing room. The whole ceremonial of the state opening is performed with measured dignity, befitting its long and honored tradition. The moment was now approaching, at once moving and exciting, when Her Majesty would enter the royal gallery. The Lord Great Chamberlain gave the signal for the doors to be opened as the Queen and Duke approached. To watch this progress through the Royal Gallery is to be aware of how fortunate is Great Britain in her constitutional monarchy, and how fortunate in the mid-20th century that the crown is worn by a young and lovely woman, secure in the affections of her many peoples. The distinguished company in the chamber of the House of Lords rose as the Queen entered, slowly proceeding towards the throne from which, for the 7th time in her reign, she was to deliver the royal speech. As always, the legislative program outlined therein was prepared by the government and referred to measures which the ministers proposed to introduce in the forthcoming session.
My lords, pray be seated.
The Lord Great Chamberlain, with the Queen's assent, commanded Black Rod, Lieutenant General Sir Brian Horrocks, to go to the House of Commons and bid its members to come to the upper house. The state opening of Parliament is the one occasion in the year when the Queen, Lords and Commons meet together in person. Black Rod returned, having conveyed the summons to members of the lower house. The Commons were headed by the Speaker, followed by the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. Party strife was banished for the time being. All eyes in the now crowded assembly were directed towards the Lord Chancellor, Lord Kilmuir, as he placed the copy of the Queen's speech in Her Majesty's hands. In the clear tones of that voice with which the whole Commonwealth is familiar, Her Majesty graciously delivered her speech.
My lords and members of the House of Commons, my husband and I look forward eagerly to the series of visits we shall make next year in the Commonwealth, where we shall renew and extend the friendships which we value so very highly. In the early part of the year, we shall visit India and Pakistan on the invitation of the presidents of those countries. And I welcome especially this opportunity of seeing for the first time something of these two great nations of the Commonwealth. My government will play their full part in maintaining the North Atlantic Alliance and the other regional pacts to which they belong. My armed forces will continue to make their contribution to the safeguarding of world peace. The friendship which links us to our great ally, the United States of America, is a powerful element in the defense of peace. Throughout the coming session, my government will continue to give resolute support to the work of the United Nations. The improvement of relations between East and West remains a primary object of their policy. In particular, they will go on working for the success of the Geneva Conference on the discontinuance of nuclear weapons tests, and will do their utmost to achieve comprehensive disarmament under effective international control. They will continue to cooperate with their partners in consolidating the European Free Trade Association. At the same time, they will work towards the political and economic unity of Western Europe on a basis satisfactory to all the governments concerned. My lords and members of the House of Commons, I pray that the blessing of Almighty God may rest upon your councils.
The ceremony was now completed. The distinguished company had witnessed one more state opening, the beginning of the second session of the present Parliament. The continuity of democratic government is preserved. It is the privilege of this nation to enjoy the freedom of constitutional monarchy. Effective parliamentary government began at Westminster. It has survived the numerous changes of history and is still a model to the world. And how splendidly Her Majesty becomes her royal office.